When it comes to special ed, just means giving all the same opportunities. It's so easy to just put someone and say like you can't do this because of I don't know who you are, and that's just not really fair. Like, we have the same opportunities for girls in sports. You can just look at Title IX, and so I mean, why would we exclude a group of people from enjoying those same activities?
So inclusion in special education is the incorporation of special needs children into like the general population of a school, and actually integrating them into like the daily aspects of education, and not setting them aside into their own classes.
Inclusion in terms of special education is including everybody, no matter what their abilities are.
Inclusion in terms of special education is like including special needs into a daily routine.
I think that inclusion in terms of special education is when special needs children are included in general education classrooms.
Inclusion in terms of special education would be welcoming all members of the Clemson community, no matter what needs or disabilities they may have, and just making sure they're all treated as equals.
I think that the pros of inclusion are children who do not have disabilities are able to become more tolerant and accepting of those who do have disabilities, and the kids with disabilities are able to interact with other children who don't have those same disabilities.
So the pros of inclusion for the special needs children is that they get to see every day what like the mass public actually is doing in their school systems, and they kind of like put to the side and put with themselves, and they're actually going to work alongside people who they'll be being beside in society every day.
Some pros are the special needs kids being able to interact with kids that don't have special needs, and so they're not just secluded to other people that have disabilities.
Cons of inclusion are maybe putting special needs kids in an area where they can't excel in the right way.
Okay, some cons of this might be a distraction to some students. A classroom would have to accommodate to them sometimes, and some students might make fun of them, and that might create a bad environment for the classroom.
I think that a con of inclusion is that resources and attention from the teacher may be directed towards the one or two children with special needs in that general education classroom, when they maybe could be allocated towards the other children in the general education classroom, and they may have a hard time determining exactly how much attention and resources those children require.
I think as with anything, like even in high school you split classes into like college prep and AP and honors classes, so you can go at different paces, and obviously it might be difficult for some students to go at a certain pace, and so you're gonna have to adjust teaching to that, and just that's gonna be something you're very aware of when teaching students is where are they at, and it, obviously you can get frustrated too. So like you see your peers excelling and then or not, or you see this student getting special attention and you get frustrated. So there can be frustrations there when there's just a difference in like learning ability and like maybe not even ability but even speed at learning, and so that could create just frustration, and that maybe more work for the teacher to have to figure out how to best divide attention and how to best plan things so everyone is learning and growing together.
Yes, I have experienced an inclusive classroom. In elementary school, I was in the same class as a student with cerebral palsy, and I actually hung out with her quite a bit. I think it was in 4th grade, and her mom invited me to go to her Special Olympics with her, and we actually became pretty close.
I cannot remember a time I have experienced an inclusive classroom.
Looking back on it now, I guess the answer is yes. I had a friend in high school who I honestly didn't know was in special need classes until after we graduated. And so she was in my basketball class, she was in my PE class, she was on my basketball team. And later we were talking to her, I'm like, Destiny, what are you doing during the day? We don't ever see you outside this one class, we don't ever see you. Where are you? We always just see you walking in the halls. And she was like, oh, I'm in these other classes. And so I didn't know.
In a school setting, I've never had experience with special needs children.
One of my neighbors, her name was Faith, moved in across the street when we were younger, and she was special needs. She was my age, and she lived in a wheelchair, and me and my sister would go over to her house and hang out with her. We'd play Wii. She loved Hannah Montana. She'd seen her way more times than I had, saw her in concert. One time we just hung out, the two of us. She came to my sister's birthday party, so me and Faith had a good time. Sometimes she can play basketball with me, though.
I've worked at a special needs camp for 6 summers.
In high school, as some classes, we interacted with kids with special needs, and it was really awesome.
So for our project, I was actually really surprised about the first question when people knew what inclusion was in terms of special education, because inclusion is just a fairly general term that we use in other aspects of life too, and so it surprised me when people knew what it was in terms of education. However, because special education is so prevalent in schools and in public education, I think that it's something that people should know more about, and so I think a lot of people were just confused because of the terminology.
I thought it was interesting that a lot of people have not experienced an inclusive classroom, but I also feel like that people could have experienced one and just not known because it wasn't made as obvious that this child had special needs.